Okay, folks, we have come back. Let's start case number 17 in Mysteries of the Past. Thanks to Sylvia, Vivian, and Bruna for the reports.
Define your brows. Express yourself.
Electrical hazard.
Definer from L'Oreal. The ultra-thin tip recreates tiny brow hairs. A smoothly brushed blends effortlessly. Now brows get their most precise look yet. Brow Stylist Definer from L'Oreal.
Matthew, I'm so excited. Today is the day all the inventions competing for the World Exhibition Prize will be presented at the Inventors Hall. I hope Charlie and Dick's DNA machine will receive all the appreciation it deserves.
Sorry, dishwasher.
This was meant to be a proud day for us, Maddie, but I'm afraid it is now overshadowed by apprehension. Trouble's been brewing at the exhibition ever since it opened. Several participants have been murdered. A giant ape threatened to wreck the city. And now we have proof that someone's been tampering with the inventions. I cannot rest until I know who they are. I understand your frustration, Charlie, but science does not benefit from anger, nor does detective work. Why don't you come with us to the Inventors Hall? Let's make sure all is ready and safe for when it opens.
This one's got flowers on it. After the stomach flu ravages my home, am I supposed to believe that an ocean breeze is going to blow it away? Please. I know what clean smells like. Bleach. Same bleach that knocks down dysentery and cleans up crime scenes. You want to spend $3 on liquid doubt? Be my guest. You want clean? Get a cleaner with bleach in it. Clorox means clean.
Aging skin.
I got myself a total of 12.
You could go to a luxury spa or
Instant hints.
with Spin Spa, the spinning brush that turns showering into a
Oh
spa
boy.
experience. Spin Spa comes with every indulgence you'd find at a spa. The microdermabrasion head scrubs away dead skin to reveal a youthful glow. The mesh sponge provides gentle cleansing and exfoliation every day, while the massage head soothes away aches, pains, and improves circulation, perfect for areas prone to cellulite. And the pumice stone removes calluses and rough skin for pedicure perfect feet. Just add soap or body wash and Spin Spa does the rest. Why spend hundreds at the spa when you can pamper yourself every day with Spin Spa for only $29.99? You'll also receive the facial spa free to give your skin a spa quality cleansing. You get both for just $29.99.
Oh, I doubt I'm gonna get this. No.
That's 1-800-373-6220 or go to spinspa.com.
After my dad passed away, I felt disconnected from the world until I found Uncle Edward.
Matthew, that man lying over there is dead. I told you the trouble at the exhibition wasn't over. I'll be jiggered if I know what he died of. There's no blood around the body that I can see, only some strange burn marks on his skin.
Thank you for telling
Matthew, I know what caused those burn marks. Look at that device you found. The victim's injuries match the shape of its prongs perfectly. This device discharges electricity, and an electric shock can cause burns. It can even stop one's beating heart. This artifact must be the instrument of the victim's demise, Matthew, but I've never seen one like this before. It's not one of the exhibits for sure. There's a golden substance on the device. Perhaps it will yield a clue. Beware of the deadly sparks as you collect a sample, Matthew. As for the victim, he does not resemble an inventor. He's dressed like a laborer and wears the symbol of the Luddites. But the Luddites hate technology. I wonder what brought this man here. The answer seems obvious to me. He wanted to wreak havoc at the exhibition. Remember the Luddites' deranged leader killed an inventor already? I bet this Luddite came here to sabotage the inventions on display. I admit that's a possibility. If this man was a saboteur, it would certainly explain why he was attacked. And that ornate key might explain who managed to get in and murder the man before the display had opened. We'd better test it for fingerprints. We must get to the bottom of this. You stand by on the airship, Charlie. Matthew and I will take it from here.
I understand that there is it may not have been suicide.
Mrs. Fletcher, are you trying to push my buttons?
Oh, not at all. Simply natural curiosity. Well, now here is something that I certainly never expected to see in the psychiatrist's office. A blender.
I'll see you guys when this is done. But first I'm gonna get some stars, so hold tight.
A second federal judge now, this one in Maryland.
Alright, let's examine the key.
It already was temporarily on hold after a judge in Hawaii yesterday issued a similar ruling. Hours before it was supposed to go into effect. About this, the president said the move is terrible.
You don't think this is done by a judge for political reasons, do you? No.
Okay. Matthew, the fingerprints from this key might tell us who had access to the crime scene.
Which, by the way, we
Let's see if the prints match anyone in our archives.
So, the first judge ruled that the tyranny order was to target Muslims and was fundamentally flawed. Now, it would have temporarily banned people from 6 Muslim-majority countries from entering the United States, with some exceptions, but that judge had pointed to the president's own words on the campaign trail, like when he said, "I think Islam hates us." In deciding, the judge, this ban is unconstitutional. What were the changes from the first version of the travel order? We might remember
Leopold Rochester.
some language about religion was...
Matthew, the fingerprints on the key you found at the crime scene belong to Leopold Rochester.
To the Supreme Court.
It's no surprise that the respectable patron of the exhibition has had access to the hall, but it's not the first time Mr. Rochester gets involved in a murder investigation.
we have
You're right. We shall ask Mr. Rochester if he knows anything about the latest victim.
For this reason, I issued an executive order to temporarily suspend immigration from places where it cannot safely occur.
So the staff
About the dead man in the
that
Inventors
hundreds of
Hall.
refugees under investigation was mentioned in the executive order. Critics have pointed out that
Apologies, but the
administration
display
hasn't
isn't open to
said
visitors at this
which
hour.
country.
Oh, it's you, Senior Trooper Matthew. Charming to see you again.
In Hawaii, because it was the
Mr.
first
Rochester,
state
I'm afraid the Inventors Hall is now a crime scene, and we found your key next to a murdered man.
There's precedent.
Murder, you say? Blood and thunder!
The president might make certain decisions.
Apparently, the victim was a Luddite. I don't suppose you're closely acquainted with them, but do you recognize this man?
Check and balance out.
Oh, but this is Arnold Nottingham, a known propagandist. He was one of the poor devils who protested the exhibition, claiming the Industrial Revolution will ruin lives. Well, you could say technology ruined Mr. Nottingham's life. Someone attacked with an electric contrivance. We suspect a link with recent acts of vandalism against the inventions. Ghastly, I say, to think that someone would defile the exhibition in this manner. There's much discontent among the inventors about it, too. You only need to visit their favorite cafe to see it for yourselves. Thank you, Mr. Rochester. Senior Trooper Matthew and I will certainly visit this establishment.
This was at about 9:30 p.m. local time, and people started trying to leave the carnival.
I don't know what's going on over here, but it appears to be a shooting. I was just waiting in line for some fried Oreos. There's a lot of people running, saying there's an active shooter.
Now here's the deal, though. Police say there was nothing to indicate that someone had
Let's
fired a
get
gun.
the
Nobody's
charge
been
weapon out
shot.
of the way
They said
first.
No weapon was found. They are questioning somebody. But that
I'll be out of your hair.
person is
I'll be out of your hair
not
pretty soon.
How frightening that was for families that got separated or what have you. 51 million people from the Ohio Valley down to Florida. Are you among them? You faced a freeze warning today. Now some people got big snow.
Greasy substance. Matthew, the killer must have left this greasy substance on the murder weapon.
People are clearing their driveways.
We shall avail ourselves of Viola's expertise with the sample.
And when did they find it? This is Burlington, Vermont. They got 2 feet of snow and then some.
I decided I would probably wait until April. Then I saw my neighbors hard at it, and I figured I'd, do my civic duty and shovel out my driveway.
Well, Bridgewater, New York, near Syracuse, saw nearly 41 inches of snow. Thousands of flights this week canceled. And now we've learned that 8 people died in the storm. Near Providence, Rhode Island, heavy snow from the rain on Tuesday apparently caused a shopping plaza's roof to collapse. Nobody was in there. They saw something similar in Milford, New Hampshire. The inflatable dome on a sports complex caved in. 2 people were on the roof at the time trying to get the snow off of it, and they're going to be okay. Several people inside are also said to be fine. You know, the mayor may not be looking good for 2 GOP healthcare bill, but it can only afford to lose 21 Republican votes in the House.
Got the first
According
star.
to CNN's latest tally, 19 lawmakers have said no, or they're leaning to saying no to it. The House Speaker Paul Ryan says it's way too early to be counting up votes here.
So if it came up in the House this afternoon...
What a
it
cozy
passed?
place, Matthew. I can just imagine the inventors here discussing their theories and debating ideas. But you're right, we're here to ascertain if these ideas included killing a Luddite, Arnold Nottingham. What did you find? That tray is bound to conceal something of interest. Let us sift through the contents, and fixing the torn paper might also provide a clue.
Obamacare light. GOP moderates want lower costs for poorer and older Americans. You know, sexual harassment on social media among Marines is considered the same as any other sexual harassment case. That's in the Corps' new social media guidelines, and that comes after a Facebook page was found with new photos of female service Marine members.
Got the 9 in time.
Also cover comments and urges Marines to...
Matthew, you know that man on the poster? It's Stanley Spark, the inventor, and he's offering a reward for information on the saboteur. Mr. Sparks is a ruthless businessman who believes machines will replace humans soon. We met him when Casper Rove was murdered. As for his invention, we've only gotten glimpses of Mr. Sparks' fantastical suit. But he's evidently determined to protect it from the saboteur. Who knows what he could have done if he thought Mr. Nottingham was responsible? I agree, Matthew. We better ask Mr. Spark a few questions about this.
Regular bedtime routine, and try to stick to it too on the weekends. Easier said than done, I'll bet. Somebody in Ohio swiped a 70-pound popcorn ball. Somebody in Ohio made a...
Senior Trooper Matthew, did you know my genius invention is now on display at the Inventors Hall? My exosuit will take your breath away. I'm sure it's spectacular, but we got distracted by the discovery of a murdered Luddite. A dead Luddite? Thundering steam pipes? That's music to my ears. I hope he was the exhibition's saboteur. Interesting you'd say so, given your eagerness to catch a saboteur. I wonder how far you'd have gone to do so. I did not kill the fellow, if that's what you mean, Senior Trooper Matthew. But don't expect me to shed a tear for a Luddite. We inventors do not toil to see our work ruined by ignorant swine.
Seen at a Broadway show with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Now, in the video, he has not come into the theater yet. But online gossip had a field day with this. His wife was there too, along with the U.S. ambassador to the UN.
Train, I'll get out of my grandma's hair and I'll do this at home.
Come from away about Canadian citizens who open their doors to Americans stranded in Newfoundland after 9/11. See that this is a Broadway play now. You know, also was looking this
Matthew, I don't detect anything unusual on that check you found on the tray. Someone enjoyed coffee and beer. Oh, I see. It's the waitress's name that caught your eye. And rightly so. Her last name is Nottingham, same as the victims. They must be related. Then we have some sad news to impart. Let us find Susie Nottingham.
Yeah, we're looking at that all the way down into northern Florida. I think it's somewhere between Gainesville and Orlando. Look at the Gainesville temperature. 30
Related to the victim?
43, 29 in Jacksonville, 25 in Valdosta.
Welcome to the Brass Compass. What can I get you? Miss Nottingham, I'm afraid we need to ask about a relative of yours, Arnold Nottingham. He was murdered at the World Exhibition. Father is dead? How can that be? Are you sure you're not mistaken? Father would never go to the exhibition. He believed all those contraptions were the devil's work. We suspect he may have gone there to destroy the inventions, or at least his killer might have believed so. Have you heard any of your customers talk about a saboteur? I wouldn't know. The patrons here always talk about tubes, circuits, explosions. And now my father is dead. He was right after all. That exhibition only brings misery for simple folk like us. Alright, I'll see you guys when these two are done. Okay folks, we've come back. Both the autopsy and the greasy substance have run their courses. Let's start with the autopsy. Matthew, I admit I'm a little nervous. The contenders for the exhibition prize will be presented to the public later today. Naturally, I'd be delighted to see the trophy go to our DNA machine, but there are many other worthy candidates.
Kidnapping, rape, and murder.
Unfortunately, we have other matters to be anxious about, Dick. Of course, the dead man in the Inventor's Hall. Well, Charlie's supposition was correct. He did indeed die of an electric shock. His heart was already weakened by age, thus even a low current proved fatal.
Campbell gave us your box of...
The burn marks suggest close contact between the killer and the victim. The weapon had to be held to the victim's chest at an upward left angle, which attests if the killer is right-handed.
Your little buddy is right next door.
Then we'll make sure to slap the handcuffs on the killer's right hand first, Matthew.
Criminal like you knows that whoever talks first.
Lawyer. Now, bitch!
My client's ready to do the deal. Maybe I don't need him now.
Matthew, I've heard there was another murder. I wonder if this exhibition was a wise idea after all. Don't let Charlie hear you. He'd think you're against progress too, like the Luddites.
The time to cooperate was before we got...
Oh, I'm not, Maddie, but for all the marvels of new technology, some things never change. Like crooks leaving behind traces on the murder weapon. My examination revealed that the grease is a type of lubricant used on the bronze bearings of a bone shaker. As the name suggests, a bone shaker is a rather uncomfortable type of vehicle. The killer must have wanted their wheels to run smoothly when they pedaled to the Inventor's Hall.
Mr. Campbell says somebody do it, Detective?
No, because we know you dumped the body, and I know you took a shot at me. Now I'm gonna make sure.
So our killer rides around on a bone shaker? That's no match for my Madmobile, just like the killer's no match for you, Matthew.
That girl, not me. I was there. She was screaming, and then he cut her, and I...
Do we have a deal? Acting in concert still puts your client on the hook for anything he claims Walter Burlock did on his...
Matthew, I thought the excitement of the day would be seeing all the new inventions in the exhibition hall. Instead, we found a man shot to death by an electric contrivance. The victim was a known Luddite, a member of the same anti-progress group whose leader already killed an inventor. This gives rise to the supposition that Nottingham could have been the saboteur responsible for the recent acts of vandalism against inventions. And if he wasn't, he certainly could have been mistaken for one by an angry inventor, someone like Stanley Spark, who took it upon himself to pursue the saboteur. But... Matthew, we have an emergency. It's Charlie. Charlie? What happened? He got into a fight with the Luddites. They're about to beat him up.
Lifetimes. Too bad we can't use it. I have to void Burlock's arrest and defer prosecution. Why? Because you are knowingly
Alright,
committed an illegal...
we'll get to Chapter 2 after this. Okay, folks, we come back. Let's start Chapter 2 of Electrical Hazard, Case 17. Matthew, the discovery of a dead Luddite in the Inventor's Hall doesn't bode well for the World Exhibition Contest. We don't know if Arnold Nottingham was a saboteur interfering with the inventions, but he certainly could have been mistaken for one by an angry inventor wishing to protect their work. That would explain why he was attacked with an electric device. Matthew, we have an emergency. It's Charlie.
Does it ever get better? With time.
Charlie, what happened? He got into a fight with the Luddites. They're about to beat him up. Dash my wig, where? In the park, near the speaker's stand. That's where the Luddites like to gather. Then we need to go there and see what Charlie's gotten himself into now. Moment. Gentlemen, listen to me. Inventions aren't going to ruin your lives and take your jobs. Let me explain. Lies, all lies. Down with inventors and their devilish contraptions. No, listen. You listen to this. Ow, stop it. It hurts. Alright, if you want to fight, I'll give you a fight. Charlie, stop at this instant. Get over here and clean yourself up, and then we'll talk. Uh-oh.
I'd catch the next one. Detective Benson thought she had me, but at the end of the day, she fell way short.
What he was doing on the soapbox.
Well, that's because she thinks that I...
What he was doing on the soapbox.
explain to her.
These Luddites, let me get back at them. They want to fight? I'll show them a fight.
That's enough.
Since when do you hold with rocks and violence, Charles? I don't recognize you. What possessed you to come here and argue with the Luddites? I wanted to convince them with rational arguments, but clearly they won't listen to reason.
Now she's afraid of me, aren't you?
But the Luddites are behind everything that's gone wrong around the exhibition. I know they must be behind the sabotage too. That's enough. Spouting hatred at the Luddites now that one of them's been murdered is very badly timed on your part. I wish I didn't have to do this, but you're suspended until the investigation's over. What? Matthew, are you serious? You know I'd give my right arm to win the grand prize, but I'd never hurt anyone.
Yes.
Don't make this harder for us, Charlie. Just go back to the airship while Matthew and I look around the speaker's stand for
Because
clues.
I thought that both of our mothers were raped by the same man. Are you my sister? No. I ran your DNA against mine, but Vivian, I'm still here for you.
If it pops off, you want me with you on your side.
Join Ice-T as he talks about his partners through the years.
Been working best with Munch. They used to call us the Men in Black. We take crime very serious.
The Lamar SVU Partners in Crime Marathon starts Sunday at 10.
Hosted by me, Ice-T, only on USA. You're in.
This is the major leagues. You don't get this feeling anywhere else.
It's time for you to take the reins.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
Suits. Stream the latest season now. On demand and online.
Jenny Craig works. Call now and lose 17 pounds for $17. Jenny Craig combines a personal consult with delicious food and real results. Call now and you'll also get $60 in free food. Hurry, this offer.
Taste the many sides of Brookside. Smooth dark chocolate outside. Exotic fruit flavor inside. Brookside for all your sides.
Get to JCPenney's direct.
Matthew, I do hope Charlie just made an honest mistake coming here, and he's not involved in anything other than anything more sinister.
And Sunday, that's getting your pennies worth.
When I want a $7.99 large piece of pizza, I can order with this.
Sometimes the smartest men do the silliest things.
Pizza, high tops.
But you're right, we must focus on the investigation. I see you found some clues.
You think you've already found your ideal hotel?
That telegram is addressed to the Concordian police. The missing timestamp suggests it was never sent, but we can take the brush to it and reveal the message.
Hotel? Trivago.
And is that ruined bicycle a bone shaker? You know our killer rides one. Let's fix it up and see if we can identify the owner.
Introducing Fabletics best leggings ever. With 3 layers of high-quality compression knit fabric in a variety of cuts, patterns, and styles. For premium performance leggings that look as good as they feel. You got this.
Okay.
Now go get it. Now get 2 pairs of our best leggings ever for just $24. Only at Fabletics.com.
If you suffer from a dry mouth, then you'll know how uncomfortable it can be. But did you know that the lack of saliva can also lead to tooth decay and bad breath? Well, there is Biotene. Specially formulated with moisturizers and lubricants. Biotene can provide soothing relief, and it helps keep your mouth healthy too.
There we go.
Biotene. For people who suffer from
Matthew, we're in luck. The bone shaker you restored belongs to someone we know, Celine Georges. Celine is that French inventor who built the Chessmaton. We met her when you investigated Casper Rhodes' murder. But it's odd to find her bone shaker here, where inventors obviously aren't welcome. Let's see what Celine has to say about this.
Shocking attack. The monster of Goes one-on-one. The big dog. Rage. Raw. Like money
Miss George, we found your bone shaker. What brought you here? Where the Luddites gather? If this place wasn't on my way to the exhibition, I'd never come here. These Luddites are insufferable. They broke my bone shaker, you know. These progress haters always hurl insults at me for being an inventor and a woman. I can do anything a man can, with my right arm tied behind my back, and yet I had to endure such abuse in this century. I sympathize, Celine, but we know some inventors give as good as they get from the Luddites.
Where'd you get the itch gun?
And someone's taken the feud too far. Arnold Nottingham was murdered in the Inventors Hall. Foul-mouthed Nottingham's dead? Sacre bleu, I wonder who did him in. But whoever they are, they've done a great service for progress. I see you care deeply about mankind, Celine. Don't leave this area. We might have questions for you later.
He's dead. There's blood everywhere. Thanks for helping us out.
Arrested for the murder of Walter Murdoch.
Like you acting good.
Blood spatters like Campbell Winston.
Definitely hit him with a cast iron more than once.
What rage?
Campbell Winston.
Who you trying to kid, Liv? Look at the blood. It's congealed.
Matthew, that telegram isn't just addressed to the police. It directly mentions the murder. Listen, I killed A.N., but I can't confess until the exhibition's over. This was evidently written by the killer, who's torn between remorse and wanting to gain more time at the exhibition. You're right, even if the telegram isn't signed, Viola is sure to find some mark on it from the killer.
Hand on the stove.
12 hours. Get the results tomorrow. For now, this is Matthew. See you then. Okay, folks, we've come back. Let's get the results of the telegram now. Matthew, I've heard young Charlie got into a fight with the Luddites. Is the tension of the competition getting to him? Or are you suspecting he could have something to do with it? Charlie's behavior was senseless, but so is gossip and speculation about a colleague. How about we deal with the clues instead, like this telegram with the killer's confession? Well, the telegram was lying in the street, exposed to the elements before Matthew found it. Dust, sunlight, rainwater all damaged it. But I isolated one contaminant on the paper that didn't come from the outdoors environment. A saline-containing solution most commonly found in eye drops.
There's not knowing.
Eye drops are usually applied indoors where the air is drier. Matthew the killer must have used them, probably at the telegraph office while writing their confession. Well, the killer changed their mind about sending that telegram, but their eye drops will still lead us to them. Matthew, what do you say we take a fresh look at the crime scene with this in mind? Let us head back to the Inventors Hall.
Smash it with a Candy Crush booster. What are you waiting for?
I'm sorry, I'm gonna do this to you. Is my baby okay? Can you check to see if he's moving? We heard a heartbeat. I love you, Mom.
Alright.
I'm glad he's dead. He deserved to die after what he did to me. Here. Took the gun to his head.
Stop. Stop.
Exhibition ticket.
Unless you have a lawyer with you. If he says it's okay, you cannot talk about this to anyone, me included. Do you understand me? I understand.
It's trapped. There's a key.
That's pretty cut and dry.
The victim, Mr. Roberts, sustained an exit wound to the forehead. Stippling indicates he was shot at the back of the neck at point-blank range.
Matthew, the Inventors Hall isn't open to the public yet, but you found a visitor's ticket. Clearly, someone has come here in defiance of the rules, which is all the more suspect since this is our crime scene. Perchance dusting that ticket will tell us more. And you're right, these chocolates are rather out of place here. We might learn a lesson by collecting some of that hair on the box.
Standing there, Nicky shoots, the bolt goes through Hank in the door.
Only if Nicky were the Jolly Green Giant.
Trajectory is almost straight down.
And Nicky's about 5 inches shorter than Hank. If Hank were standing, Nicky would have to raise his arm.
Mr. Nottingham, meet me at the exhibition hall, be alone. The message on the ticket says, Mr. Nottingham, meet me at the exhibition hall, be alone. Matthew, this message was meant for our victim. We need to know who wanted to meet him in the hall, a friend, an accomplice, or the killer. The only thing we can go on is the handwriting, which means we must call on our unofficial consultant, Diego De Lobo, again.
Let's see what you can say before we jump to any conclusions.
Hank showed up at my back door, pleading I couldn't just leave him out in the cold. But once I let him in, he started slugging me, saying I was no good slut. Where was Nicky?
12
He came running as soon as
hours.
he started screaming. And then Hank threw him to the floor and just kept kicking me. That's all I know.
Okay, so you didn't see Nicky shoot.
The evidence doesn't suggest self-defense. You're saying you don't believe Nicky?
Okay.
We need to talk to him.
Matthew, this hair sample from the chocolate box will tell us who else came in here. Let us put it under the microscope to check the distinctive features.
The cops took off, and you accuse my boy of lying? And don't you go anywhere near my son.
Nice bedside manner.
I want the truth. Look, I can have her buying a body bag if Nicky said something to you.
This isn't about what Nicky said. This is about Hank violating the protection order.
Hank wasn't threatening anyone on his knees when Nicky snuck up behind him and blew his brains out.
Hank was abusing and Sandra looked the other way. The boy snapped.
Nicky's 13. The law says I can charge the boy as an adult.
Okay. Floral perfume.
Just do your job.
Matthew, the microscope revealed that this brown hair was covered in droplets of floral perfume. Only a lady would wear such concoctions on her hair. And the only brown-haired lady among our suspects is Susie Nottingham, the victim's daughter. This means the chocolate box you found the hair on belongs to Susie as well. This places her at this crime scene. Susie failed to mention she went to the Inventors Hall this morning. She'd better tell us the truth now.
I don't know. He said some things to me last night outside the house.
About her presence on the crime scene.
He's glad Hank's dead.
Susie Nottingham, you...
Safe. Photo Kaiser with the kid will be looking.
I cannot stop crying since you told me my father was dead, Senior Trooper Matthew. I don't know why I still need eye drops despite all my tears. We appreciate your grief, but you haven't been honest with us. We know you went to the Inventors Hall this morning and left this box of chocolates there. Oh no! You found out about my deepest secret, Senior Trooper Matthew. I had a rendezvous in the hall with a gentleman. He gave me those chocolates as a token of his affections. We met in the early hours before the visitors arrived. Then I hurried back to work. I must have forgotten the gift. I'm really sorry I didn't mention this earlier, Senior Trooper Matthew, but it completely slipped my mind when I heard of my father's tragic death. Well, having a rendezvous is not against the law, Susie, but I hope you aren't hiding anything else from Senior Trooper Matthew.
No, Nicky shot his stepfather in self-defense.
Sharp eye, Matthew. Susie was holding her pencil in her right hand. I shall add this to her profile.
The sub-above difference is grilled. Because if you're making a cheesesteak and you're not using a hot grill to make it,
I'll let the invitation run its course. For now, this is Matthew. See you then.
Sunday night at 9.
Alright folks, you come back, even though there's only under 6 minutes to go, I'm going to go ahead and speed this up. It's only kind of cost me one. Senior Trooper Matthew, always a pleasure to assist you. Where would I find brighter minds or prettier ladies than in the flying squad? And the attraction seems to be mutual. That's why you call on me so often, despite your unfortunate dislike of my occupation. Don't pretend you aren't enjoying this, Diego. Now tell us who wrote this message to our victim. The handwriting speaks for itself. Neat lines, round vowels, balanced spacing, dull as dishwater. The penmanship of an old respectable gentleman. Senior Trooper Matthew, the handwriting matches the sample I happen to possess from Leopold Rochester. Leopold Rochester arranged to meet the victim at the exhibition hall where the murder took place soon after? Then he definitely owes us answers.
Everyday bulb. The next time you have a power outage, Lifelight will instantly detect the outage.
Why he invited the victim?
Never be in the
Mr. Rochester, you said you hardly knew the victim, but you arranged to meet him at the exhibition hall. Ah, I am most ashamed of concealing the truth from you, Senior Trooper Matthew. You see, I sent that ticket to Mr. Nottingham after I'd heard him speak out against progress in the park. You, the patron of the exhibition, invited a notorious Luddite to the show? What was the sense in that? I resolved to educate Mr. Nottingham by personally showing him the marvels of science. I asked him to come alone so we could converse in peace. When he didn't show up, I assumed he was too stubborn to accept my request. I never expected him to come to any harm, Senior Trooper Matthew. Matthew, this case is a tough nut to crack. At first we thought Arnold Nottingham went to the exhibition to sabotage the inventions. But it turns out it was Leopold Rochester who invited him. Allegedly, he wished to educate Mr. Nottingham about the benefits of technology. We also know the inventors don't take kindly to Luddites like the victim. Celine Georges seems to hold pretty hostile views. And even Charlie lost his temper and got into a fight with them. We had no choice but to make our own colleague a suspect in the case. But we still don't know who killed Arnold Nottingham, and... Senior Trooper Matthew, this is an outrage! Chief Inspector Halstead, what happened to you? I've been assaulted by one of the inventors. Uh-oh.
Apocalypse. But not my air conditioner.
See you guys for Chapter 3.
Water heater and more.
Alright folks, we've come back. Let's start Chapter 3 of Electrical Hazard. Matthew, this case is a tough nut to crack. What we know is that the Luddites, like the victim, have an ongoing feud with the inventors, and the recent acts of sabotage at the exhibition have made tensions worse. But we're still not sure of Arnold Nottingham's role in all this, and... Senior Trooper Matthew, this is an outrage. I've been assaulted by one of the inventors. Chief Inspector, what happened? There was an explosion. I was near the speaker stand in the park, and I must have inadvertently stepped on some kind of device. A device, you say? Then we must examine it. Do you still have it, Chief Inspector? I was glad to have made it out of there alive, Senior Trooper Matthew. I didn't think to keep it.
Honest and yet often so elusive. We shall see how you turn out.
But it is without doubt the work of an inventor. Then we must go to the speaker stand and inspect the scene ourselves. Ourselves, Matthew.
Associated with Mrs. Fletcher's publishing firm.
Yeah, Mrs. Fletcher and I were just about to discuss the note she received from Mr. Colney. It was regarding Mr. Ellison's whereabouts. Jessica.
Colin, the game has changed. People are getting killed.
I think you should seek legal advice before discussing anything further.
Do not be in charge, Mr. Biddle. Only asked to provide facts that might facilitate my investigation. And I should like to tell you both. I'm not happy. British intelligence and else play games in my territory without informing me. Yeah, what is it, man?
Sibling and needed
Open protest sign.
Inspector, can Mrs. Fletcher leave now? Yeah, of course. But I shall need to ask for your passports. I want to have further conversations with you both.
Mr. Gregory, I am not responsible for my husband's finances. He misrepresented them.
Charlie?
The only reason I'm staying on the news anymore is because the police apparently haven't finished questioning me. Now, am I supposed to sleep out on the street?
Please, we're happy to provide you with another room with our compliments. And then, as soon as the police allow us back into the
Your former suite. Then we'll move your bags for you.
Thank you.
Ah, pardon me, Mrs. Pickering. I know who you are.
Nigel Allison has rattled on about you.
Matthew, this park is evidently a hotbed of violence between the Luddites and the inventors. Now the chief inspector got caught in the middle, but I can't see anything here that caused the explosion. You think we might find it by searching this trash can? Then I shan't get in the way.
Mrs. Fletcher.
And I recognize this leather case. Charlie always carries his tools around in it.
I could maybe buy you a...
After the trouble he's caused, Charlie can hardly object if we inspect his property. I'll let you tackle that lock. And I agree, we should fix that broken protest sign. The Luddites must have left it lying behind. It could be a useful clue. And we can't afford a daughter if we want to solve this case.
Shortly after noon today. By noon? By noon.
What?
Thank you, Mrs. Kooning. Yes, could you please connect me with the Amsterdam News?
19.
It's all there.
Buy £2 million. Now, back up just a bit. You say you think housing may be involved along with this Vidal.
Who is not who she claims to be.
Uh-huh.
The Amsterdam News said they had no one there working by that name. Now, yesterday morning in the lobby, I happened to notice Mr. Halsey slipped a piece of
54513. Boy, this is so tedious.
But how does that connect to Nigel Allison's case?
Not necessarily, but I think it's possible that de Kooning's widow was mistaken and her husband wasn't deceiving her about the airplane's readiness.
Housing may have misleading both.
There we go.
And you suppose he was planning a sudden getaway with Mr. Ballard?
Now look, Jason, you may be correct. But right now, I have to focus solely on something.
Matthew, what's a pendant with Susie's portrait doing in Charlie's toolbox? Charlie never mentioned he knew Susie. Were they intimately acquainted? Matthew, I don't like Charlie keeping secrets from us. He must provide a complete explanation.
Sandwiches and some bottled water and bandages.
No wonder he speaks so highly of you. I care for Nigel just as much as you do. He saved my life in Beirut. But you must understand, these people are notoriously unreliable and volatile. Now, I want you to go back to the street.
Let's see what he has to say. Charles, Matthew found this portrait in your toolbox. Why didn't you tell us you knew the victim's daughter? Well, how about I explain this to you from the beginning, Matthew? I met Susie last week at the Brass Compass, and I took a shine to her. I was most surprised to learn it was mutual. Pretty girls don't usually give me a second glance, Matthew. I invited Susie to the Inventors Hall for our first date, so we both pedaled there on our bone shakers. So you were the gentleman who gave Susie chocolates. But you didn't know that her Luddite father was going to be at the exhibition too, and if he saw you courting his daughter... Matthew, I swear I didn't see Mr. Nottingham there. I didn't even know who he was when we found him dead. If you're innocent, why didn't you tell us you had a rendezvous at the crime scene? I didn't realize you took such an interest in my personal life, Madeline. It's no longer your personal life when a murder is involved, Charles. He's clean.
Bishop is dead. Norman just found the body.
Who would do that? Someone is cooking up a recipe for murder.
Alright.
Murder She Baked. Just desserts. Part of 4 all-new mystery movies. 4 Sundays in a row. Sunday, March 26th at 9 on Hallmark Movies and Mysteries.
You totaled your brand new car. Nobody's hurt, but there will still be pain. It comes when your insurance company says they'll only pay 3/4 of what it takes to replace it. What are you supposed to do? Drive 3/4 of a car? Now, if you have Liberty Mutual new car replacement,
Sweet mother of pearl, what is this contraption you pulled out of the trash? Goodness, it looks like it might explode again any minute. This must be what the chief inspector stepped on. Hopefully Rose can neutralize this device before it hurts someone else.
Infused with olive oil and olive leaf extracts, it softens and shines for naturally beautiful, replenished hair. Garnier Hold Blends Legendary Olive.
Nobody likes
Okay, 9 hours. Broken protest sign.
That's why there's Oravet dental hygiene chews. Oravet cleans teeth and gets to the cause of bad breath. Ask your vet about Oravet chews. Serious oral care made simple.
There's a new way to inflate tires, sporting Volt and more. It's called the Revolutionary. The Airhawk is an amazing new cordless handheld air compressor that pulls in the outside air.
Matthew, this protest sign reads, Spark mistreats his workers. Rally behind Arnold Nottingham. So the victim accused Spark of employee abuse, and he clearly planned to take action. Matthew Spark never mentioned having a personal conflict with the victim, but this gives him a motive for murder. Let's question him at once.
The Airhawk digitally reads the pressure and can be set to stop automatically when it gets to the correct tire pressure.
About the victim's accusations? Mr. Spark, you failed to tell us that Arnold Nottingham protested your treatment of the workers in your factories. Ah, you found out about that, Senior Trooper Matthew. Don't believe a word of it. Nottingham was just trying to slander my name. He was always on my case, but I never mistreat the people working on my precious exosuit. It would be like cutting off my right hand. Arnold Nottingham didn't see it that way, so you gave him an electric shock before he could have tarnished the reputation of your invention too? Electricity is a precious resource, Senior Trooper Matthew. I do not squander it on slanderous protesters. And I cannot waste any more time of my time either. I must hop on my bone shaker and get back to work. I think for now Charlie is cleared. Yes, he is. He doesn't use eye drops, at least not yet. But we'll find out if he does. But I don't think he's the killer. I'll see you guys then, and we'll see if I'm right. Okay, folks, I'm back. Let's get the results of the mechanical trap. Matthew, before we get down to business, allow me to share some happy news. I received a letter from the zoo. Her handler says that Kiki's happy and healthy. That's great, Rose. We know you care about animals of all sizes. But we're more concerned about someone out there setting traps for humans. What can you tell us about this device you found at the speaker's stand? The mechanism is simple. An explosion is triggered when someone steps on the jaws. There's no lasting damage, but the short-term effects can be traumatic.
I could have stopped her.
Well, Chief Inspector Halstead did look distraught.
The second time.
But Matthew's right. The trap was probably not intended for her. Given where we found it, it must have been meant to scare the Luddites.
The night after she tried to suffocate herself.
Well, I don't know who it was for, but I can tell you who built it. The trigger mechanism is similar to what Celine Georges uses in her automatons. Well, dash my wig. Celine has no love lost for the Luddites, but building a human trap is taking it a step too far. It's time to question her again.
Sorry you missed the train. This time we'll go together. I'll bring you up to the hospital for bone processing.
Lab's got the actual machine tape. They made it duck so you can hear it.
Whose voice is that?
It's a TTY relay operator. It's always Lud show she made the call the night before Christina died.
This was a suicide pact.
Pretty one-sided. I guess Amy changed her
About
mind.
the trap she planted?
Or lied to Christina to push her over the edge.
Either way, I'm gonna ask the DA to let us.
Celine, you made it clear you don't like the Luddites, but setting a human trap for them? Senior Trooper Matthew, you come after me for setting a trap, but you'll let the Luddites off easy for their protest?
Sure it is. The district attorney branch hates losing to me.
I'll deal with anyone who messes with the exhibition. These murders and sabotage have to be stopped. I haven't slept a wink since my chessmaton was tampered with. I nearly ruined my eyesight making sure every last screw is in place by today. I even had to borrow Mr. Sparks' eye drops after using up my own. And yet you still made the effort to build this infernal machine. What is your true calling, Celine? Advancing science or punishing those who stand in your way? Someone has to take action. If you had better protected our inventions from vandals, Senior Trooper Matthew, none of this would have happened. Don't try to redirect the blame, Celine. If you've taken justice into your own hands, Senior Trooper Matthew will find out. That's 3 for both of them.
You okay?
Matthew, we thought this key to Arnold Nottingham's murder was that he was a Luddite activist who may have sabotaged the inventions. But it turns out he directly threatened Stanley Sparks' reputation by accusing him of mistreating workers in his factories. To top it all off, Charlie had a secret rendezvous with the victim's daughter. Matthew, I could use a spot of absinthe just about now. Do you reckon they'd serve us at the Brass Compass? You're right. The cafe had better serve us more clues first. Let's go back and crack this case at once.
You look like you could use a drink. Wish I had time. I'm headed over to Bellevue. Thought you might want to come. Amy Solway's refusing dialysis. When Judge Bradley hears about this stunt, he's gonna blow a gasket.
There's a lot I'd do to win a case, Miss Novak, but I'm on your side here.
Why are you doing this?
I would rather die now than in prison.
You mean you'd rather be a martyr, don't you?
Stop calling me that.
Or do you finally feel some guilt over tricking Christina Nair into your bogus suicide pact?
I did not trick her. I thought by saying I would die with her, it would make her feel more comfortable. Feel better about her decision. Her decision.
If this won't work, I'll get a court order to force the dialysis.
You know full well no judge will ever issue such an order.
I can still try.
If you can't force me to eat, I'll just starve.
I thought you're all about avoiding pain.
When you don't eat, your body releases endorphins as it breaks down its own tissue for fuel. I'm told it's a very pleasant and painless death.
13 seconds.
I'm looking for Casey Novak.
Yes? Can I help you?
I'm Dr. Nemrick, Amy Solway's nephrologist.
Matthew, I'm no engineer, but even I can tell that apparatus with voltage box written on it must be a power supply. And look, the opening on the box matches the back of the murder weapon. The killer must have used this device to charge it with electricity.
I found her a kidney?
We need a sample of those fibers stuck to the top of the voltage box. And if you also want to search for that cleaning bucket, let us not delay.
I'm coming. John, what are you doing here?
Why the hell didn't you call me?
There's nothing anyone can do. Amy's made her choice.
Which is?
Well, if we're just gonna put her in prison, it's a waste of the kidney.
Then plead her out to a lesser charge.
Excuse me?
Don't let her do this to herself.
You're the one who wanted me to jump through hoops to retry her. Why are you so invested in this?
Her dying isn't worth it.
If we cave on Amy, it opens the door for any other perp who wants to force a plea by threatening suicide.
Viola can trace those fibers from the voltage box back to the killer, Matthew. Let's send them to her.
No, she's not, John. I'm sorry.
So am I. Can you read my lips? Why won't you take this kidney? Yeah, well, it's the wrong decision.
Matthew, that glove you found in the bucket doesn't look like it's used for cleaning. It's a little dirty, but the material is fine. Smart thinking. Those burn marks near the fingertips suggest the killer could have worn this while shocking the victim with electricity. Matthew, it's best to show this glove to Viola post-haste.
Because my father killed himself.
15 hours. See you guys when this is done. Alright folks, we've returned. Let's get the results of the fibers. Matthew, I put it to you that nothing helps police work as much as modern fashion. Modern fashion? You mean those fibers Matthew found on the killer's voltage box? Exactly. You see, those fibers had the molecular structure of a recently invented semi-synthetic fabric, a breakthrough in the fashion industry. And the thread density of the fibers make it clear that they come from the killer's necktie. Sorry guys, it's Golden Girls in the background. So our killer was a tie, then their fashion sense will be their downfall.
Take down the video equipment. About the brass band. I shouldn't have kept it. Rose was right. It's just like stealing.
Alright, I'll speed this up.
Return it. Oh, I can't do that. I've had it over 3 weeks. They won't take it back. How much way can you give it back in just 3 weeks?
Tell us, Viola, does this glove Matthew found belong to the killer? Behold, the evidence confirms it. In addition to the burn marks you already noticed, I found traces of the same grease you collected earlier from the murder weapon. So Matthew was right. The killer wore the glove during the murder. Yes, and there's one more thing I can tell you about the killer. From the cut and the size of the glove, it is clearly tailored for the hands of a lady. So our killer is a woman. Well, she'll be wearing handcuffs on her wrist before long. Matthew, now we have all the evidence to bring Arnold Nottingham's killer to justice.
Why are you still wearing your costume?
I didn't have time to change. I couldn't wait to get out of there.
Okay.
They fired me. And it's all her fault.
I have asthma.
It's Susie Nottingham.
So when my asthma symptoms kept coming back on my long-term control medicine, I talked to my doctor. Found a missing piece of my asthma treatment, Brio.
Once daily Brio prevents asthma symptoms. Brio's for adults.
Susie Nottingham, you're under arrest for the murder of your father, Arnold Nottingham. You can't be serious, Senior Trooper Matthew. I'm heartbroken that father died. I believe you are. You wrote a telegram to the police, consumed by remorse. You never sent it, but Senior Trooper Matthew found it, with your eye drops on the paper. I don't see what my eye drops have to do with father's death. Dr. Jones assured me they were quite safe to use. Stop pretending you're simple-minded, Susie. Senior Trooper Matthews found the glove you wore when you burned your father with electricity. I never do such a thing to father. The evidence doesn't lie, Susie, but I'm curious. Did one of the inventors give you that electric device, contrivance, or did you steal it from them? I'm not a thief. I designed and built that electric gun myself. That is... Oh dear. I see it's too late to deny it now. Yes, it's true, I killed my father. But he was just like you. He didn't think I could be an inventor, and he wouldn't allow me to study, though I love tinkering with machines. How did you manage to learn so much if your father was so against progress that he went around sabotaging inventions? What? My father wasn't the saboteur. He couldn't tamper with machinery if he wanted to. He didn't know the first thing about mechanics. But I learned a lot listening to all the inventors in this cafe, and my father was none the wiser. Until today, when he saw me leaving the exhibition hall, we had an argument, and next thing I remember, he was lying on the floor, dead, and my electric gun was in my hand, still warm and buzzing. I wanted to go to the police straight away. I only changed my mind because I didn't want my rendezvous with Charlie to cast suspicion on him.
You have a vision.
Senior Trooper Matthew, I'm so sorry for everything I've done. Now father is dead and I'll never be an inventor, and I'll never see Charlie again.
You need options? We've got
Unintended or not, Susie, you still have committed a murder. You are under arrest.
absolutely guaranteed. Every time.
Susie Nottingham, it says here that your father crushed your dreams of becoming an inventor. So you invented an electric gun behind his back and killed him with it? It is true that I resented my father, but I never meant to hurt him. I don't know what came over me, Your Honor. That's interesting. Just yesterday I read about a fellow named Freud who says everyone secretly wants to kill their father. He's a doctor, he says it's scientific. If that is true, I'm glad I'll be retiring soon before more people get round to it. As for you, Susie Nottingham, the court sentenced you to 7 years in prison, taking into account your lack of criminal intentions. My life is already over, Your Honor. I shall never recover from the guilt. Matthew, I can't believe what happened. Being a suspect in the investigation was bad enough, but now this with Susie.
Recommendations on how to
I finally pluck up the courage to ask a girl out, and she's arrested for murder after our first date. Maybe I should stay away from romance in the future.
Frankly, the lyrics are a bit inane.
Chin up, Charlie. I'm sure the right girl is somewhere out there for you.
They get you fired.
If you say so, Maddie.
They said I should use them. I said
I'm
no.
certain
They
of
said
it.
you're fired.
Now let's say you and I walk over to the Brass Compass and drink to a brighter tomorrow.
First thing in the morning.
Come on, honey, sit down. Now, don't worry. If Dorothy says she'll get your job back, that's exactly what she's going to do.
Well, I guess it's worth a shot.
Alright?
Here's where you can reach
Susie
out.
Nottingham.
Call me if you can work things out.
Charles DuPont cleared early after clue 3.
What's that?
Could you leave by the back door?
Not Celine Georges, no tie. Leopold Rochester cleared from the start.
Mr. Hastings, I need to speak.
Stanley Spark, not a woman. I'll see you guys for the Gears Exchange 5-6. Alright folks, we've come back. Let's get the result. Let's go to Gears Exchange 5-6. Senior Trooper Matthew, congratulations on solving your latest case. I understand from your report, however, that the victim was not the saboteur compromising the inventions at the exhibition. That miscreant is still at large. With the prize ceremony scheduled for tomorrow, this issue must be dealt with swiftly. As you may recall, I am involved in a different contest myself, running for city judge after the Honorable Takakura's eventual retirement. So I'd like to join forces with you and... Matthew, look at the paper! Something terrible's happened! The Gigantic collided with an iceberg and sank in the middle of the Atlantic! You know, my cousin Rose and her baby were on that ship. I can't bear to think that they... Miss Madeline, this is grave news, but try not to imagine the worst. What does the paper say about survivors? It says that some of the passengers were rescued, but it doesn't list any names. Except, thank goodness for your presence of mind, Matthew. The journalist who wrote the article is someone we know. It's Catherine Wolfe. Mr. Lawson, I hope you don't mind if I ask Senior Trooper Matthew to come see Catherine with me. Perhaps she has information on the survivors. No need to apologize, Miss Madeline. I know how heart-wrenching it is to worry about your loved ones. Senior Trooper Matthew, please meet me at the Brass Compass when you're done talking to Miss Wolfe. Let us bring the sabotage business to a swift end before the ceremony tomorrow. Senior Trooper Matthew, good to see you again. My article exposing Professor Picklebrain's work earned me some serious acclaim. Are you here to bring me new material? Miss Wolfe, I hope that personal tragedies aren't just material to you, for I need a favor. My cousin and her baby were traveling to Europe on board the Gigantic. I must find out if they survived. My word! I didn't mean to be insensitive. The Gigantic sinking is indeed a great tragedy. The Gazette has not yet received the official list of survivors, but my European contacts know more than we know over here. All I need is a telegraph that can handle a transcontinental connection. I believe the exhibition hall is equipped with one. Then we shall head to the Inventors Hall post-haste. Please follow us, Miss Wolfe.
My arms can never relax. My eyes can never look away. Quilted Northern, designed to be forgotten.
At Stouffer's, it's what's on the inside that counts. That's why our lasagna is made with high-quality ingredients you would use at home. Like freshly made pasta, real mozzarella, and no preservatives. Just a delicious meal the way you'd make it. Stouffer's.
And I see it already.
Constipated? Trust #1 doctor recommended Dulcolax. Use Dulcolax tablets for gentle,
Last
dependable
box.
relief. Suppositories for relief in minutes. And Dulcolax for comfortable relief of hard stools. Dulcolax, designed for dependable relief.
At Nature Valley, we know that you have to put good in here to be great out there. Real good energy. Real delicious energy. Nature Valley granola bars. Just good.
Red Lobster's Lobster
There we are.
is back with 9 lobster.
Good enough for me.
Get a new lobster mix and match. Or see how sweet.
Senior Trooper Matthew, that's the telegraph you need to contact Europe about the gigantic survivors. But it's locked away in that glass box. But you'll make short work of opening that door, right, Matthew? I have a pretty good feeling that Madeline is going to be relieved to know that her relative is safe. But don't ask me. But
For millions of
I
baby
may
boomers,
be
there's a
right,
virus
I
out
may be wrong. We'll see.
A virus that's serious like HIV, but it hasn't been talked about much. A virus that's been almost forgotten. It's hepatitis C. 1 in 30 boomers has Hep C, yet most don't even know it. That's because Hep C can hide in your body silently for years, even decades without symptoms. And it's not tested for routine blood. If left untreated, Hep C can cause liver damage, even
Matthew, now that you've unlocked that box, you can access the transcontinental telegraph and check for the gigantic survivors. Except, the machine doesn't seem to be working. I don't know what's wrong with it. What? Does it mean we can't use it to check on my family? Oh, you're right, Matthew. Charlie will know what to do. Let's send the telegraph to him. Then I'll give you the name of the person you need to talk to. Have Mr. Dupont contact this man once he's fixed the machine.
Why don't you try to avoid sweets? Not a pretty picture from down here.
6 hours.
I didn't know that you could speak English.
Hey, what you don't know could fill a space the size of Guam.
And since you brought up Guam, why don't we talk about geography for a little bit?
You want to see some geography, lady? I'll show you some geography.
Whoa, Kodak!
You want to know what we call this on the planet Twilight, huh? Oh, quit kicking, Mrs. School Teacher, like that's really going to shut me up.
What do I do now?
Why don't you tell the boys and girls how you gave Mr. Terrific the axe?
A cartoon, that's right. Here we go.
You're clear.
Oh, that's it. I'm thinking. Dorothy, calm down. Things are going very well. Very well. They were trying to kill me out there. They want Mr. Terrific back, and so do I.
Dorothy, how could you do this? I thought you were my friend.
I am, Rose. I am. It just happened so fast. They were pushing me out there, and before I knew it, I was singing the Mr. Terrific theme song. I'm sorry, Rose. I didn't intend for this to happen.
Well, I think you better explain that to Mr. Terrific, too. He thinks you stole his job.
I promise, Rose, the minute I see him.
Well, he's right here.
Where is that?
Where'd he go? Mr. Terrific's out on the ledge. Looks like he's about to jump.
Okay.
Hey, where's everybody going? We've got a show to do. You're on.
4, 3, 2. Hi, kids.
Hi there, Mr. Terrific. How you doing?
Terrific.
Senior Trooper Matthew, I see you've already searched the cafe for leads on the saboteur. What did you find? I'd wager that journal belongs to one of the inventors. With a bit of luck, we'll find more than just calculations and blueprints in it. I trust you to tackle the lock on it, Senior Trooper Matthew.
Hi, honey.
Hi, Rose. I can see your house from here.
Honey, we want you to come in off the ledge. We're worried about you.
There's nothing to worry about. I'm not going to jump. That would be crazy.
Thank goodness.
I love it before.
36963. Okay.
Mr. Terrific can do anything.
Of course you can, Mr. Terrific. Rose.
41164.
Mr. Terrific, I think that the Lex Luthor and the Joker are harassing an old lady in the stairwell. Could you come in and help them with your X-ray vision?
633. There we go.
Please, Rose, this is no time to point out his shortcomings.
Tarnation, Senior Trooper Matthew. This journal is written in French. With all these brilliant inventors about, how is it that none of them have built a machine that translates languages yet? You reckon machines will never come close to Miss Holloway's linguistic prowess? Then we shall send this journal to her. But you know what? I am really eager to find out what happened to Maddie, so Let's speed everything up. Charlie, please tell me you fixed the telegraph. I need to know if Rose and little Maggie survived the gigantic sinking. Well, the good news is I did manage to fix the telegraph and contact Europe. The bad news is I confirmed that more than 1,500 passengers and crew perished in the disaster, though some of the women and children were evacuated in lifeboats. I received this coded list of all survivors, but there's no one named O'Malley on it. What? That can't be! Rose and Maggie can't have died, Matthew. No. Nobody deserves to die like that, and Maggie was just a baby.
Wait a minute. Wasn't it dangerous flying around that building?
I'm so sorry, Maddie. I wish I could offer some hope, but...
But Rose wasn't.
What's that you're saying, Matthew? Yes, Rose did mention something odd when I saw her off on the Gigantic, but I don't see how it... Oh, you're right. Rose said their names were misspelled on their tickets. They left out the E in O'Malley. Charlie, check the list again. Let's see. An E is just a single dot in Morse. It's easy to get confused. Yes, good thinking, Matthew. Rose and Maggie O'Malley are both listed as survivors. Thank heavens, so they're safe. Oh, look at that. Yeah. Oh, I guess you're welcome, Maddie. Forgive my effusion, Charlie. I was just so relieved that my cousin was all right. I know. It's great to have some good news after all the anguish. Matthew's right. We should give this list of survivors to Catherine. She'll publish it so others will know their loved ones are safe. We'll hold here, folks. Okay. Okay, folks, I've come back. I managed to get everything taken care of. Give Catherine the list of gigantic survivors, and thankfully, Madeline's relative survives. Rose. Miss Wolf, your contact confirmed my relative survived the gigantic disaster. Fabulous news. You must be so relieved. There are no words. Unfortunately, a great many people perished in the accident, but we now have a full list of survivors. I'll make sure the list is published as soon as possible, Senior Trooper Matthew. People deserve a glimmer of hope after such a tragedy. Thank you for bringing this to my attention, Senior Trooper Matthew. Please accept this in return. 20 grand, thank you. No, why not? I'll go ahead and speed up the journal. Won't be around tomorrow. Miss Holloway, have you succeeded in reading this French journal Senior Trooper Matthew found at the Inventor's Cafe? Yes, and there's no doubt the journal belongs to Celine George. In between equations and diagrams, she made some interesting observations about the exhibition, punctuated with cigarette burns on the pages. But the last entry is rather ominous. It translates as, I increasingly think someone is rigging the contest. That's why all these inventions are sabotaged. Celine George believes the sabotage is linked to the competition for the exhibition prize? She's not exactly an impartial observer, being a contestant herself, but we cannot ignore such allegations. You are right. We'd better question Miss George about this.
Check driving conditions on the KITP weather and traffic app.
Why she thinks someone is rigging the invention? Miss George, we found your journal. In it, you claim that someone is sabotaging inventions to cheat in the contest and win the grand prize. The truth is that every inventor wants to win the grand prize. But not everyone is playing fair. Our inventions have been sabotaged from within. You'll see, I can show you. Dang it, I could have sworn I had that note in my pocket. Senior Trooper Matthew, I must have lost it in the park, but I'm telling the truth, I swear. Go there and you'll find the evidence you need. We shall certainly investigate your lead, Miss George, and Senior Trooper Matthew, perhaps a bite to eat wouldn't go amiss either.
The music. He's as unmistakable as the man. Chuck Berry was the founding father of rock and roll.
before they'd even named it, Chuck Berry was playing it. And my, but that little country boy could play. With his roots in blues, Berry combined his flash in the guitar with a flamboyant showmanship that channeled country and R&B, breaching racial barriers, and soon had 1950s America singing a new tune.
Faded Clue.
Chuck Berry's parade of hits now a part of the American experience and a soundtrack to the springtime of life for millions of baby boomers. His long road took him from the Missouri of his birth to the White House, where he performed for President Jimmy Carter, to honors at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the Grammys, and the Kennedy Center. Berry can count among his musical champions, the Rolling Stones.
Senior Trooper Matthew, this could be the paper Miss George wanted to show us as proof that someone is rigging the contest. Let's see. It's a list of inventions. The chest baton, the exosuit, and some others. Senior Trooper Matthew, we need to reveal the rest of the writing to see where this is going.
A new album simply called Chuck. It's Berry's first album, first new album in 38 years, and contains mostly new material he wrote himself. Tonight, Bruce Springsteen calls Chuck Berry, quote, the greatest pure rock and roll writer who ever lived. Well, White House tonight facing its second security breach since President Trump took office. We've got photos to show you. Taken near the White House, one person is currently in custody. Drove up to the White House checkpoint. Driver claiming to have a bomb inside.
Senior Trooper Matthew, every invention on the list has a percentage point next to it. I recognize this system. These are the scores the inventions have received. But you make an astute observation. The three highest ranking inventions have encountered problems, as evidenced by the comments. The steam pack, the chest baton, and the color camera have all been marked down for various malfunctions, but we know they were sabotaged. With those inventions out of the way, the one slated to win the contest is the exosuit with 81%. I concur, Senior Trooper Matthew. It looks decidedly as if someone were trying to use unsportsmanlike means to even out the odds in favor of the suit. Then the obvious suspect in the sordid affair is Stanley Spark, the suit's inventor. We must subject him to a thorough interrogation.
That money makes up about half of its budget.
Things were just ducky today in the islands as the Great Hawaiian Rubber Ducky Race went off. This is the 30th year the Ducks have filled up the Alawai. The annual event is hosted by the United Cerebral Palsy Association of Hawaii. The race started at the Kalakaua Avenue Bridge with the Ducks going down about 50 yards the waterway.
Stanley Spark, your game is up. Senior Trooper Matthews discovered that you're trying to secure victory for your exosuit through fraudulent means.
They were given out to the top.
What in the name of thundering steam pipes are you talking about? You know very well what we're talking about. All of your strongest competitors have suffered setbacks in the contest. And what makes you think I had anything to do with it? I tried to catch that saboteur myself. Why would I do that if they were helping me? Frankly, I am offended you think I need to cheat my way to victory. The wondrous qualities of my suit speak for themselves. Senior Trooper Matthew, I'll win the contest fair and square. And here, let me give you this to show you how magnanimous I am. Matthew, we sure live in exciting times, but dangerous times as well. My cousin and her baby narrowly escaped the sinking Gigantic. But it's clear that the new advances of science don't make us invincible. The Gigantic's tragedy wasn't technology's fault, it was human arrogance. The same is true of the inventions that were malfunctioned. We've known for a while that human interference was to blame, and we now also know why. Matthew, I've heard you found evidence that the inventions were sabotaged so that Stanley Spark's exosuit would win. But we have no proof against Spark, and he denied responsibility. We need to dig deeper to find the truth. Matthew, the winner of the grand prize will be announced tomorrow. All shall be revealed, and we'll be there too, come what may.
So much larger than it does in the photo, so I think it's important in that sense to kind of come in and get the scale of things.
Sandy Vanguard is hoping to get a few winning bids on purses, among other treasures.
To be able to have something that one of the princesses had would be just such a keepsake. Just such a honor. So I think it's fabulous that they're opening up.
Kind of wish the food rewards were still here, but I've learned to live with it. Now let's take a look. March 23rd. That's another Thursday. I'll be on spring break from work.
From artistic sculptures to lavish accommodations, everything's first class. As for the princess's luxurious castle, it's already been sold. Reporting from Hawaii Lower Ridge, Moani Ke'ala Navarro, KITV Island News.
And the preview to the public until 6 tonight, and then tomorrow from 10 to 6 tomorrow. Yes, the online auction will wrap up late tomorrow. Just to note that all bids start at just $10.
Good place to start. Just visit the As Seen On section of our website for more information.
All right, now turning to our island weather, it was raining today, and tomorrow we're going to get more of that beautiful weather as well.
That's right, a lot of sunshine for our Sunday. We're experiencing trade
3 new ones.
without all the trade challenges. I'll tell you all about it coming up after the break. Here we go. Let's head up to the top of Ko'olana in Samoa with our viewer Paul showing us a beautiful view of what Kuapa and Kamilo Nui
And that's going to do.
today.
But first of all, let's take a look.
Thanks for sharing that with us, and don't forget to send your pics at KITV.com so we can feature them on air as well.
24/7 CutterAuto.com, Hawaii's driving force.
Save the month with a new Carter truck and Carter Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat. During the spring clearance event, get a new 2016 Jeep Renegade Sport Automatic for $16,777 or $249 per month, or a new 2016
And that's going to do. I'll see you guys on March 23rd.